fifth graders, Mrs. Bierman here. I'm just going to show you the first two steps that I need you to complete before you return to school after Christmas. If you are in school, you should have done both of these things already. And if you are not in school, please try to do them before you return. We are starting an optical illusion, an op art project. You'll find more out about that at school, but here we go. Well, before I start, here's what you need for this project, or for these two sketches. White sheet of paper, pencil, Sharpie if you have one, a ruler or any kind of straight edge, and a circle tracer. You can sketch or you can trace a can of soup, a roll of tape, whatever. But a couple different sizes might be nice, but some sort of circle tracer. All right, here we go. I'll try not to take up too much of your time here. I'm not sure if this is the best, but we'll go with it. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to trace some circles. I have two different circle tracers here. Oh, my blower just went off. What an amazing sound. I have a small one and I have a larger one. And then what I want you to do is I want you to trace a circle that goes off of the paper just a little bit. So I have like a half a circle here and maybe a half a circle up here. This one's actually a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to try to make these circles look like three-dimensional, almost like disco balls. So your first step is going to be this. You're going to use your straight edge and you're going to find the middle of your circle. Now, if I put my ruler right in the middle of my circle and I draw my line, is that line going to be right in the middle? No, it's not. So if you have a thin ruler like I do, I'm going to eyeball it and I'm going to say, okay, that looks about center. And then I'm going to carefully turn it on its side, so it stays in place. And that way, even though when I have my ruler on the paper like that, it doesn't really look halfway, when I remove the ruler, my circle has been cut in half. So you're going to do that vertically, and you're also going to be doing that horizontally. So you're going to split your circle into 4 equal quarters, okay? From there, we're going to talk about different curves, and it totally depends on you what way you want to do this. I'm going to show you a couple different ways. So I'm going to split this circle into half and then in quarters. I'm going to show you two different ways. So the first thing we talked about in class is looking at the two halves. So we have the right hand half, the left hand half. Anything you do on the right hand side, the curves that you make, have to curve to the right. So what I'm going to do, I'm not touching that center point. I'm moving over a smidge in both the top and the bottom. I'm going to create a curve. So this should be like a backward C curve for you. I'm creating a curve that follows the same edge of my circle. I'm going to move over again, just a smidge, and I'm going to end with another curve. Okay? We're going to do the same thing on the left. Make a little mark. If you don't have to do that, don't do it. We don't really want that mark there. I'm going to create a C curve here. I'm going to move over a smidge again and a C curve there. So I did 1, 2 curves on that side, 1, 2 curves on this side. Okay? Now, you can look at it from the top and the bottom half, or you can turn your paper. If you're looking at it this way, I need to do 2 curves on the top, 2 curves on the bottom. This time, my curves are going to point up, but it's the same exact thing. I moved over a little bit from the center. I move over a little bit again, and I create a curve that goes in the same direction as that half of the circle. At the bottom, I do the same thing. I'm curving them down, moving over, so I'm not touching the center. I'm drawing my other curve, okay? If you need to pause this video to practice, please do so. I'm going to show you another way that might be good for you. I'm really good at like rainbow curves. So I know I'm working on this upside down, so my rainbow curves aren't going to be so great. They're not rainbow curves for me when I do them this way, but in real life, I'm really good at the rainbow curves. So if I'm really good at the rainbow curves, they're my best curve to do. I can do my rainbow curves 1, 2 at the top, turn my paper. My rainbow curves 1, 2 at the top, turn my paper. Rainbow curves, I'm at the top again because they're all rainbow curves that way. Turn my paper one last time, as long as you turn your paper 4 times and you have a total of 8 curves, you should have that disco ball feel, okay? Now, if you are doing a circle that is going off of the paper, you need to think about the whole La La Land business. So if you needed to, if it helped you, you could actually, I'm going to do this in crayon so it looks different. You could actually, on a separate sheet of scrap paper, you could draw the rest of that circle, and then you can find half and half if that helps you. So there's half. Now when I'm looking at my closed circle, I see that this is half. Oh, I do use this line. I am going to create that line there. Okay. So I know that this is not real. That's, La La Land. But I do know I put my lines in the correct spot. So I'm going to do the same thing as I would do this line, and if La La Land were real, it would go right off the edge it would go off the edge into La La Land there. And these are the curves, that you would see. And that goes off. And so that is what the sphere going off of the paper would look like. So do try your hand. This is not certainly a perfect disco ball. But try your hand at one of the partial circles. Once you have that done, I do want you to take the time to use your Sharpie to carefully color in your sphere like a checkerboard. So what I told the kids at school is you need to make sure you're staying in order. Don't do this row and go color, don't color, color, don't color, color. And then say, oh, well it must be the same way over here. I'll color this one, because guess what? It's not going to work for you. So you got to think about your checkerboard in order as you go. So if I colored this one, I don't want to color that one. So I know that it's this one that I need to color in. And do try to do that as carefully as possible. This is a sketch, but I think it's important for you to get that Sharpie in there. If you don't have a Sharpie, you can use any kind of black marker. You can also use a black crayon, something so it's a nice contrast, so like a black and white contrast. It doesn't matter what material you use. I will tell you I like Sharpies best for this. So I'm going to finish off my disco ball in black and white. I am going to just pause this video so you don't have to watch me do this. I haven't quite figured out how to fast forward. Okay, so here is my finished disco ball that I have created with the black, or finished filling in with the black Sharpie. So the last thing I want you to do is take a crayon or a colored pencil. Definitely a crayon or colored pencil, not a marker for this, because we're going to talk about value. Okay, so you want to be able to choose something where you can have 3 different values. Here's value number 1. It's the hardest that I can press. Okay, that is the heaviest, darkest value. Next, you want to practice pushing a medium pressure. That's going to be my medium tone. And last but not least, you want to be able to touch the paper like a feather with your crayon and have 3 different values. So my last one is the lightest. So that's how you're going to fill in the remainder of the squares. So you can do that with any color. Maybe you can see it better with my indigo. I'm pushing as hard as I can. There's crayon crumbs there, so I know for a fact that I was pushing hard. Here's a medium tone, and here is a very light tone. So hopefully you can see the different values there. Practice that before you start the next step. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my crayon and I'm going to look at this in rows. So I have end row, end row. My 2 ends are going to be the heaviest. Now the nice thing about when you use a Sharpie first, when you do this really heavy coloring with your crayon or colored pencil, you don't have to worry about staying in the line so much because you can go right over the Sharpie and nobody will even know. So those are my 2 darkest. You can imagine that my next 2 rows or columns, depending on how you're looking at it, are going to be my medium tone. So I'm just using a medium pressure and I'm filling in those boxes. Here's my other medium row, medium row, medium row. And then my last 2 columns that are right next to each other in the center, those are going to be my lightest pressure, touching the paper like a feather if you can. And there you have it. There you have a shaded, hopefully three-dimensional looking sphere. Okay, so please go ahead and practice that. If you're doing one of the circles that are going off the paper, it really is the same thing. You just have to pay attention to where your colors need to go. Clearly I didn't fill this in with Sharpie. I want you to have 2 finished spheres when you return to school, if you are able. Done with black Sharpie or a black marker or other medium. Oh, that was supposed to be medium, not heavy. Anyway, make sure you have the color there as well as the black squares, and try to bring that with you if you can. We are going to be starting on final paper on Monday and Tuesday when I see you back in school for the new year. I'm going to show you one more thing, one more piece, the background to this project that I hope you can practice as well, and I will see you soon. Bye, 5th grade.